You ever noticed how big ideas can pop up in totally different fields, but they somehow feel connected? Well, that's what we're doing today. We're going on a hunt for a hidden pattern, a secret thread that ties together some of the most mind-blowing developments in AI, how we grow our food, and even solar energy. So let's start with a question from the world of AI. The story we're always told is that bigger is better, right? Build a bigger model. But what if that's completely backwards? What if the real power isn't in one giant, all-knowing brain, but in a whole team of smaller, specialized experts all working in concert? Okay, now let's jump over to agriculture. The conventional wisdom says we absolutely need these enormous industrial farms to feed billions of people. But again, what if the opposite is true? What if tiny, incredibly diverse, and intensely managed ecosystems are actually the key to producing more food? And for our last piece of the puzzle, solar power. When you think of a solar farm, you picture these huge, flat, sun-baked fields, right? But what if integrating panels with other things, like putting them over crops that actually like a bit of shade? What if that could create way more value than just the electricity alone? Now, these questions, they might seem totally random, but they're not. It turns out they're all the result of using a very specific and very powerful thinking model, one that's designed to find these incredible opportunities that almost everyone else is missing. And here it is. It's called the Mixture of Inversion Experts, or MOE for short. The best way to think about it is like a mental toolkit. Its whole job is to take a common belief, a core assumption, and just systematically flip it on its head. And then, and this is the key part, go out and hunt for the weird exceptions, the real-world anomalies that prove the new, inverted idea is actually right. And the process has these three really simple but powerful steps. First, you've got a character we'll call the inversion critic. Its only job is to challenge a fundamental assumption. Next, you send in the positive deviant scout to find real-world examples where that flipped idea is already working. Finally, the mechanism synthesizer comes in, looks at all the proof, and builds a brand new theory that explains why it all works. All right, let's put this thing into action. We're starting with step 1, the inversion critic. It's time to go and challenge some of the biggest known truths in each of our three fields. So in AI, the consensus is pretty much a mantra. Bigger is better. More data, more parameters, more computing power. But the inversion critic just flips that right over and asks, hey, what if the real breakthrough comes from smaller, more specialized, and way more efficient models that learn to work together? In food systems, the big assumption is that we need industrial-scale farming to feed the planet. There's no other way. The inversion here, it's not just that that's wrong, it's that the complete opposite is true. Small-scale biodiverse systems can actually crank out way more nutrition per acre than a giant single-crop farm. And finally, solar. The belief is that solar panels need their own dedicated land. End of story. The critic inverts this and says, hold on, what if solar isn't a standalone thing? What if it's a component we can integrate with our farms, our water reservoirs, our buildings, and create multiple layers of value all at the same time? Okay, so we've flipped the big assumptions. But are these just fun thought experiments? Well, this is where it gets really interesting, because now our positive deviant scout comes in. Its job is to find hard, real-world evidence that these crazy-sounding inversions are already happening. And in AI, the proof is absolutely everywhere you look. You've got these tiny models like Microsoft's Phi 3 Mini that can go toe-to-toe with giants like GPT 3.5. We're seeing systems where you give a complex problem to a team of specialist AIs, and they just blow a single monolithic model out of the water. The anomalies are piling up, and they're all telling us the same thing. The bigger is better assumption is starting to crack. The proof for food inversion is just as stunning. I mean, look at Cuba. During a crisis, they developed urban farms that now feed over half the city of Havana. You've got vertical farms producing hundreds of times more food in the same square footage. And we're rediscovering ancient wisdom like polyculture that literally yields more nutrition per acre than our so-called advanced industrial methods. The evidence in solar is just as wild. Take agrivoltaics, that's combining solar and farming. It's actually increasing the yield of crops like tomatoes and lettuce because they like the partial shade. Or putting solar panels on water. It saves land, sure, but the water's pooling effect actually boosts the panel efficiency. This stuff isn't theory, it's happening right now. Okay, so we've flipped our core assumptions. We've found powerful, real-world proof that these inversions are legit. Now it's time for our final agent, the mechanism synthesizer, to step in, connect all these dots, and tell us what it all means. Because when you put all these clues together, the smaller AIs, the intensive farms, the integrated solar panels, you start to realize this isn't three separate trends. No way. It's one single, massive paradigm shift that's happening right under our noses. And here it is. This is the hidden pattern. In every single one of these fields, we're moving away from an old playbook that was all about brute force scale and extraction, and we're moving toward a new paradigm of smart orchestration and clever integration. Instead of one giant AI brain, we're building AI orchestras. Instead of just extracting from the land, we're designing regenerative ecosystems. And instead of just generating power, solar is becoming a resource multiplier. So, why does any of this matter to you? I mean, this is cool, but what's the takeaway? Well, the pattern we've just uncovered, it's not really about technology or farming. It's about a better way of thinking. The real breakthrough here is the framework itself. This whole idea of the mixture of inversion experts. It's a tool that you can take and apply to your own industry, to your own job, to pretty much anything. Challenge the core assumptions around you. Go looking for those positive deviants, those little exceptions that prove a new rule. And I promise you, that's where you'll find the future. You know, it really all boils down to this one powerful idea. The old way was all about concentrating power, building a bigger, stronger brain. But this new way, this path of orchestration and integration, it's about building better, smarter, more resilient communities. And that, right there, is a pattern that can change absolutely everything.